Talking about humanity and grace.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the Tuesday show, talked about Kate Cox and that whole scenario. I filmed it before the Supreme Court decision came down on Monday. So it was, even though the show released on Tuesday, it was already a little dated because the Supreme Court had already made the decision and denied her ability to get abortion. So she had to leave the state. People were like, I want to hear what your sister think. I guess my opinions wasn't good enough. So they wanted to hear what you thought. So what do you think about all of that situation?
Yeah, so basically the denial came because the prosecution argued that the medical exemption is for cases where the pregnancy affects the life or health of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And in Kate Cox's situation, the baby itself, the fetus itself, had a fatal congenital complications.
Edwards syndrome.
Yeah. So I think the biggest issue is the fact that this ruling, first of all, the abortion laws, there's a few like overlapping ones, and it's very unclear what the actual rules are. The law is very unclear, and doctors are afraid of, a felony charge
Yeah.
if they perform an abortion they think is medically necessary, and then a higher court decides that it's not.
Well, I will say that the Supreme Court's ruling was saying that, it doesn't affect the health of the mother, but it has. She's been in the emergency room 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
This complication of this pregnancy can affect her to have children in the future. She has 2
Yes.
right now. She has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And she wanted to have this baby.
Yes.
And she wants to have more children.
Yeah.
So continue on with this pregnancy. It does affect the long-term health of of Kate Cox. So I still don't understand their ruling.
So then there's 2 problems with that. Is one, they're not considering mental health when they talk about the life and health of the mother. They're not considering the impact to mental health. They're only considering physical health. And then the second problem is, and this is what doctors are running into, where's the threshold for the health and life of the mother is now in danger? Are we waiting for the pregnancy for her to get so sick that it's like beyond a shadow of a doubt, and then possibly we might lose both of them? Or is it something where I know it's going to get bad later, I deem it medically necessary now, but a higher court says, no, she doesn't meet whatever arbitrary threshold they've come up with that says there's an effect for the life and the health of the mother.
Well, Ken Paxton, the state attorney, who we've talked about him before and his crookedness, argued that it wasn't affecting her health that much because she was released from the emergency room 4 times. So even though she had to go to the emergency room 4 times already in 20 weeks, so on average, once every 5 weeks, right? She's having to go into the emergency room for a medical condition because of this pregnancy.
Yeah.
But because she's sent home, she's okay. That's the argument of the state.
That's like telling me my ankle sprain can't be that bad because I keep getting up after I fall down. Like, what are you even talking about?
That's like men saying that cramps aren't really that bad. How do we know? We don't have any way to experience that pain. There's been
there are
instruments that mimic it.
Yeah,
but
it's basically a electrical stem pads, and they put it on, and it can simulate period pain. And every time I see one of those videos, men cannot handle it, and then they put it on a woman and they crank it all the way up to the max, and she's like, this is a Tuesday. And you're operating 1 week out of the month, for some women more, in debilitating, crippling pain.
So this is once again a situation where men are making a decision for women when they don't even understand what's going on. Because how can they,
Yeah.
unless there's more instruments that are created for us to feel what a woman is going through during these situations, we can never understand. So
And
once
and
again,
and more men opting to be tested on with these instruments. Like, you have to opt in to want to experience what somebody else goes through.
yeah,
So
yeah.
having people that want to opt in for something like that. But again, at like historically, well, a lot of people on the anti-abortion side make a lot of gaffes in terms of when they're trying to explain their position or rationalize something like a child being pregnant or things like that. They typically step all over themselves because the anti-abortion argument is disingenuous just on its face, because it's not about that. It's about power and control. It's never about the actual issue. It's about sowing division and about power and control. So the what was it? The Ken Paxton and his little comments are just reminiscent of a lot of things that we hear, especially during all these hearings or or court cases, people's arguments against abortion. These are kind of the same comments that we're hearing over and over with no medical basis, no factual basis, no scientific basis. And it's just a joke. It's a joke. I think her having to travel to another state to get the care she needs is egregious. But this year, I read this statistic and it was very jarring. So in 2020, there were 50,000 abortions in Texas.
mm,
This year, there are 34.
jeez. Well, for those people who are anti-abortion, they are ecstatic.
Yeah, but what is that doing to society?
Mm. They'll say it's making the society better because those children have a life.
Yeah,
Though they don't want to put money into the programs to help these families that are having the children, to give them the resources to give these children a good life.
right.
Because sometimes, maybe, whether you agree with it or not, people have abortions because they can't afford another child.
Yeah. They can't afford another child. So you bring in children in this world, children who may be unwanted, right?
Hmm.
They're born out of circumstances that were less than ideal and maybe
Hmm.
unwanted. You have children who don't have food to eat. You have children who don't have the same access to resources as other kids, the same access to computer and internet and all of that, a quality education. Okay, so what in what ways is society benefiting from curtailing access to abortion?
Their counter argument is, well, you can give the kids up for adoption.
And now
Look
you
at the
have
look at the adoption rates. Look at the children that are in foster care. Look at all that. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.